we'll start from there only. Okay, so let's begin with where we left in previous lecture, and we were discussing about memory, and we have seen what are the different type of bus. Now the example we have taken was the memory actually. So example that we have taken was of memory, but in actual scenario the data bus, just a moment. So we were discussing about memory, and we have like three main bus that we have studied. The first being the data bus. The second was one like address bus, and the third one was control bus. Okay. Now actually we have taken the example of memory to understand these things, but this actual actually this bus is a part of your any computing system. Like it can be a processor, it can be a controller, or it can be other devices. Okay, like these are the general category of the devices. There can be a more specific device like programmable logic controller. So in all of these devices, mainly you will heard these three words. Just to understand this, like what is data, what is address, and what is control, we have taken the example of memory. Now I'm going to show you actual architecture of 8085, and we'll see where is data bus, where is the address bus, and where is the control bus. Okay, so when I say that like I want to access the data from memory, actually whenever I say it like this, okay, I want to store some data. Let us say some data is 05H on some location. Let us say my location is 2000H. And I say it like this, I'm not going to put it in there. Okay, like I'm not going in there and going to turn off the switches of transistor manually, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a code, and I'll let my 8085 or any other computing device to do this task. And what this device will do, this device will understand what I will instruct him, and he will this device will execute accordingly. What does it mean, like execute accordingly? When this device is being instructed by this line of code, like I am going to write a line of code to describe this, but when it sees this code, what it will do, it will have its own address bus. So what it will do, it will put 2000H on its address bus. It will have its own data bus, so it will put 05H on the data bus, and it will have its control bus. Okay, so now what I am going to do, I want to store, that means I am going to write to memory. So on control bus it will send the signal to write, and this all buses would be connected with my memory. Okay, so there would be 80851 along with the memory, and this 8085 is going to do this whole task for me. Okay, so 8085 has the data bus, address bus, and control bus actually, and memory is connected on this buses because it's like interfacing of memory in such a way. So memory is actually connected to 8085. Okay, so 8085 is the you can say master device. It is going to control all the tasks. When I ask to read the data from memory, actually it will provide this address, it will provide the signal to read, and when it will provide a signal to read, it will empty its data bus. So it will take this data bus, the data would not be there, and then when this read signal is sent to memory, immediately the memory, the tri-state buffer of memory, the output buffer, okay, there would be output buffer like this, and when I send this read signal over here, it will let the data flow out and it will put it on data bus. Okay, So actually when I am reading at that time also, the control is with 8085. So memory is not at all a control device. Memory is just a slave. You can say it is a slave device which follows the order of master. So 8085 is your master device. Now let us see what it looks like what 8085 looks like from inside. Okay. Sorry, it is not working. So this is the generalized diagram of any computer system. You will have this kind of data bus. You have LFS bus. This is CPU. Right now, in our case, it is 8085. There would be have memory. Like we have a memory here as well. The third bus is not shown here, but it would be shown in next figure. You can see this. Okay. So this is my control device, and all the other devices are slave device, which will follow the orders given by your CPU or your 8085 in our case. So RAM, ROM, printer, disk, monitor, keyboard, and lot number of devices can be there. But this is the general architecture of your CPU. If you been asked in an exam, explain the internal organization of computer system or general purpose computing system. In that case, you are going to draw this diagram and explain what is address bus, data bus, control bus, what are the input devices, what are the output devices, and what are the peripherals, and what is the CPU. You just have to write like 1 or 2 lines about all of this thing you see in the figure. Okay. So this is address bus, this is data bus, this is control bus. These are the definitions of these things. For a device to be recognized by CPU, it must be assigned an address. So that's about address bus. Like as we have a house number for all the houses in society, or we have a name of society to identify on city. Okay, like if we have a city map on the city, if you have a society, you have to give some name to the society. Along with that, you will be providing some nearby landmark. So that's kind of address that's just to identify that particular place. It can be like more than 1 or 2 name of society which will be same. Okay, so in that case we provide some additional information, so that's kind of address. Okay, then there is a data. The CPU either gets data from the device or send data to it. So it can be a memory read operation or it can be a memory write. Control bus provides read write signal. So we have seen all these things in details with the example of memory in last lecture. Now these are some general statements. Okay, let's read it out. The more data bus available, the better the CPU is. Think of data buses highway lines. Like the more number of the buses available, like more number of the data buses available. So if I have 16-bit data bus, what it would be? It can like transfer 16-bit data at a time. So the capacity of CPU would be higher, and the CPU would be better. This is a generalized statement. Okay, it's not always like that. Then more data buses means a more expensive CPU and a computer. Okay, the average size of data bus in CPU varies between 8 to 64. Okay, so 8 bit is the example of 8-bit is 8085, and 64-bit is i3, i5, i6, i7 processors that you use that are mainly 32-bit or 64-bit system. So actually inside that there would be a data bus of 64-bit. So 64-bit of data can be transferred at once. Data buses are bidirectional. This is like a specific statement. It is always a bidirectional bus. It can receive or it can send the data. Like 8085 can send data to memory, or a memory can receive, like a memory can send data to 8085. Both ways possible, read operation as well as write operation. The processing power of computer is related to size of its buses. This is correct. The higher the amount of data it can handle, like higher spaces it would be need to transfer the data. So if the data bus is like large, you can handle large amount of data at the same time at any point of instant. Like 8-bit processor can handle only or transfer only 8-bit of data at a time. But in case of 64-bit, it is 8 times of this data. So it is 8 times faster, I can say. The more address bus is available, the larger the number of devices that can be addressed. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Like if you have in a society, and if your society follows the 2-digit numbers in system, if it's follow 2-digit numbering system, what does that mean? Any house can have a number of 2 digits to address anyhow. Like, so what is the chances of possibility, like how many number of home I can occupy with this 2-digit number system? It can be started with 00 and up to 99. That means I can handle 100 homes with a unique address. Unique address, that means no number will repeat. But if I want to occupy more numbers, what I'll do, I'll add one more extra digit. So in that case, I can have the number ranging from 0000 to 9999. So now I will have 1000 unique addresses that I can occupy. Same way, the higher the size of the address bus, the larger the number of devices that can be addressed. So you require a unique address when you are talking about 8085 and its peripheral. You require a unique address for each and every device. There the landmark system don't work there. There is always a unique address required. It's like our pin code. Your pin code cannot be like a duplicate. For an example, if the pin code of Shanghai is 388421, there is no other city in whole India that would be have same pin code. The number of locations with which a CPU can communicate is always equal to 2x, where x is the address lines regardless of the size of the data bus. What does this mean? This thing is actually how many number of addresses can be possible using your 8085. This statement directly solve this question. Now let's talk about 8085. Our 8085, I have told you it has 8-bit data bus. But what about address bus? Your 8085 has 16-bit of address bus. What does a 16-bit address bus mean? So here in example we have taken 3-digit number. Same way, a 16-bit address would have 16 spaces to accommodate an address like this. Okay, so my address would start from, my unique addresses will range from 0000. Okay, this is binary representation, so it would be starting from this because it is 16-bit. So it would be starting from all zeros, and my maximum address can be all ones. If I represent this in hexadecimal system, I'll say it is 0000H to FFFH, and in decimal system I can say it would be starting from 0 going up to 65535. Actually the unique address is 65536, but as we are starting with this 0, I'll say the last address would be 65535. Otherwise, the actual addresses that can be accommodated using 16-bit bus, unique address would be 65536. Okay. So how I get this number? How I get this number? So whenever I say I have a 16-bit address bus, what do you have to do to identify number of places that can be accommodated using that 16-bit address bus is you have to go with power 2x or 2n, you can say. So here I'll get 2 to 16. And 2 to 16 is nothing but 65536. So this is how your address box works. Like if I have a 8-bit address bus, 8-bit address bus, okay, address bus. This is just an example. In that case, I will have only 2 to 8 possibilities, and that will result in 256 unique numbers. Okay. Same example can be given with this. See, if you have 3-digit with decimal, in that case you will get 10 to 3, that is 1000. Okay, so you can see it here, 1000. Same way, this is a binary, that's why we'll get power of 2 to n. So the bottom one is the representation of system, and number of spaces available is the power. So 2 to n will represent number of unique addresses you can accommodate with the given address bus. So this is the same thing. The number of location with which a CPU can communicate is always equal to 2 to x, where x is the address lines. So here we have 16 address lines, so we'll get 2 to 16. If you have 24 address lines, this is example of 24 address line, you will have 16 M byte of addressable memory, 16 megabyte. Okay, this is 16 megabyte. In our case, that 644 sorry 6553 65536, that is actually 64 kilobyte of memory that I can address, 64 kilobyte of memory. But if you have 2 to 24, that means 24 address lines is there. In that case, I can have a memory of 16 megabyte. Each location can have a maximum of 1 byte of data, since all general purpose CPUs are byte addressable. Okay, we are not going into this statement because this is related to CPU specifically. The address bus is unidirectional. This is one more important point. A data bus was bidirectional, but the address bus is unidirectional. That means you can only communicate the address from master to slave. So you will never see the memory giving out the address. The all address is always given by master to the slave. So the 8085 will give the address on which the data has to be write or data has to be read. But always 8085 will give the address. Data can be provided by memory or data can be provided by 8085. That depends on the read or write operation. But address is unidirectional. So it will always flow from 8085 toward your memory. For the CPU to process information, the data must be stored in RAM or ROM, which is referred as primary memory. We'll go in this primary and secondary memory later on. That is not, I'm not interested in this registers. The register, we have already seen what is a register. The CPU used the register to store information temporarily. We are going in details with this 8085. Now this is inside a CPU. Okay, I'm not interested in this figure. This figure, you are not going to draw this figure anywhere. The actual figure that you are going to draw is probably that figure is not given inside this. I don't see this figure, but let's see that figure first, and then you will see one more figure here. Let's see the figure. If you have any question at any point of time, you can stop me there and you can ask the question. This is the actual diagram of your 8085 internal architecture. So whenever you been asked like draw the architect of 8085, you are supposed to draw this figure. Now you will see n number of things over here and you will understand only some of them. So let's begin with that some of that information. Okay. I'm not happy with this figure. Let me have one more figure. Yeah, this is the figure that now see, this is the figure that I'm interested in, and you will see some part that would be understandable. The other part is not understandable, like you won't be able to understand that. No issue. We'll once again come to this figure at the end of the chapter and we'll see what are the different things. Okay. But right now, why I'm showing you this figure is just to understand like how data flows inside your 8085. This is the architect of your 8085. And main thing that you would understand is, let me copy this figure and I'll explain you that. Okay, I hope this figure is visible to everyone. Now, the main part of this figure that I'm interested right now is, sorry, the first one is this. What is this? This is ALU, where actual things will happen. When I say actual thing, that means a summation or a logical operation like AND operation, OR operation, summation, subtraction, multiplication. I will not say because your 8085 does not support multiplication directly. But that kind of operation would be done inside this ALU. Okay. Other part that I'm interested in is this 8-bit internal data bus. Now you can see this is given as like a line, a bus, but actually you will see the whenever this data bus is concerned, you'll see a bidirectional arrows everywhere. Whenever database bus is connected with some devices, you'll see bidirectional arrows. Okay, see this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. That means data bus is bidirectional and it is connected with almost all the things. Okay. Now here it is directly not connected with ALU. See, the ALU gives the output to the internal data bus. That's fine. But if you see on like input side, you won't see the data bus is directly giving information to ALU. But rather than that, there are two resistors. First one being accumulator and second one being temporary resistor. So that two devices are actually giving the information to ALU to process. So how does that thing work? So your accumulator, whenever I say accumulator in course of 8085, whenever I say accumulator or I write ACC, that means a resistor named as A. Okay. Now you know what is register. Register is the place where I'm going to store some data. Okay. Most of the time this data would be of 8-bit data. So here register A or accumulator is the primary resistor of 8085 uh, which is used in processing the data or which is used or connected with ALU. So all the operations, whether being mathematical or logical, resistor A would be part of that operation. Why? Because resistor A is directly connected to ALU. So if I am performing summation, my one number would be stored in register A. Okay. We'll see this later again one more time, but right now I'm just showing you this because I want to explain whenever I put some instruction, the A would be most of the time, the A would be part of my instruction. Okay. Though it wouldn't be written, but it would be part of instruction. Then there is a temporary resistor. So if I am saying summation, summation is always done between two numbers. So where then the second number would be stored, second number will be automatically stored in temporary registers. You won't be writing any code to store in temporary registers, but it will be automatically done. And then whatever is the operation, again it will be put back to data bus and then you can process that. Along with this register A, I have some more registers over here. So 8085 mainly have 7 registers named as A, B, C, D, E and H, L. All of these registers are of 8-bit, but only different register is register A, which is part of all arithmetic and logical instructions. Other than that, I have written these registers differently. Like I have written B along with C, D along with E, H along with L. Why I have done that? Because I can use this register individually as a register B, or I can use this register as a register pad to store the 16-bit data, BC pad, DE pad, and HL pad. We'll see that later how to do that. It can be done. Okay. And then where is our address bus? You must be like curious. Where is the address bus? So you can see here A to A15 and AD0 to AD7. This is actually our address bus. So when you see A0 to A7 is the address bus, or you will say this is a lower order address bus, and A8 to A15 is higher order address bus. And D0 to D7, that is written combinedly, is my data bus. So this is my data bus which will be connected to memory. This is my address bus which will be connected to your memory address ranges. So this is 16-bit and this is 8-bit. You can see D0 to D7 is 8 and your A0 to A15 is 16. Okay. So this is the architect of your 8085. What are the other things will come on into these things later on. And there is this control bus. This is the control block. This block lower is the control block. So whenever you see something like even it is connecting with ALU, that means when to perform some operation would be deciding by this thing, and it will give the signal to ALU, perform the summation now. It will also give the command to accumulator. It will also give command to all the other things. So this is actually my control thing. Okay. So this will handle all the processing of all the information, and this will handle the control and timing unit. This is known as control and timing unit. It is not written over here. It is control and timing unit. This will look after all the things happening around. When to do that thing would be decided by this control timing unit, and how to do that would be decided by ALU. Okay, how to do sum is done by ALU, but when to do sum is decided by control and timing unit. And how it is going to do that? It is going to do that by some instruction that we provide. So where we will provide that instruction, we will provide that instruction in at this register. Once you provide that register with some instruction, this is the brain, that what is the meaning of instruction would be decided by this instruction decoder and machine cipher encoding, and that information would be set to timing and control unit. So then timing and control unit will decide what to do with this instruction and how to do that, and then accordingly it will send the control signal to all the other uh, peripherals available inside your 8085. Okay, so it will decide when to do sum, but who is going to decide to do sum? We are going to instructing using this instruction register. So this is how your 8085 internal works. But we will come here one more time and we'll see in the details like how these things work. So let's move ahead with the general purpose diagram. So this is a general purpose diagram. Okay. So when you ask like draw the architecture, you have to draw this figure, and you ask like what is the general block diagram of 8085, you will be drawing this figure. Sorry, this is related to 80851. I'm not interested in this. Won't be helpful to us. So you will be only drawing this figure. Now let's begin with the some instruction. Okay, and then we'll come again to this thing. So basic information that we will be needing right now is this: the registers available with 8085. Which are the registers of 8085? Register A, B, C, D, E, H, and L. There are these 7 registers available in your 8085. Now let's start with the instruction. Like how you are going to instruct your 8085 to do some task. So to instruct the 8085, you are going to use a language, and that language is known as assembly level language. Or you can say it is a machine language. Okay, so 8085 will actually understand a machine language. What is a machine language? Machine language is a higher level language or a binary language where you will see the instructions like this, or a different instruction can be this, or there can be n number of this kind of instruction available. So this is the how machine understand things. Okay, but we are not able to process this kind of data easily. So what we are going to do, this is a machine language, and to understand we have developed one more language that is known as assembly level language. So for each of this machine language code, we have our own language as an assembly language. Okay, so how does this work? So let us see this. Okay, now you can see here. Let's have an example. Let's say I want to transfer a data. I have a data. Let us say 05 is the data, and this data is right now in register B. Okay, so here there is a register B. The data 05 is stored inside this register. How we are going to do that, I am not going into that, but somehow I have managed to do store 05H in register B. Now what I want to do is I want to transfer this data from register B and save it inside register A. Okay, so what I actually want to do is I will transfer the data from register B to register A. Now assembly level instruction to do this task, to transfer the data from register B to register A, is this move B comma A. Okay, or in general way you can write this instruction like this: move RD comma RS. Okay, what is RS? RS is the source register and your RD is destination register. So here in our case my A is source register. Sorry, I have I have to write it like move A comma B. So what is B? B is my source register. So actual data is right now inside this register, and I am going to transfer this data to the destination register, which is A. So if I write this instruction inside my instruction decoder, move A comma B, it will automatically transfer the data from register B to register A. Okay. So if I execute this instruction, sorry. So if I write this instruction, my content of B would be automatically copied to register A. Now carefully keep this in mind. If I write this instruction, what will happen? The content of register A, okay, previously register B. Let's prepare a table and understand. This is register A, this is register B. Okay, previous data and data after execution. Okay. So what was my previous data? My previous data in register A. I don't know the previous data, so I'll write XX. But I know the previous data of register B was 05. Then what I have done, I have instructed 8085 to do this task, move A comma B. So what does this instruction mean? Transfer the content of register B. Transfer the content of register B to register A. So what this will do? This will execute this line, and after execution the data would be obviously updated. So now what would be the new data? The register A would have the number 05. And what about register B? Now this is a move instruction. Okay, but do not see it as a move. Actually it is a copy paste instruction. So the data from your register B won't be going anywhere, but it would be there only. So data would be copied to register A. Rather than move, we'll say copy. Okay. So this is how this instruction work. Now in actual scenario, here previously our data now let's see how this happened in real time. My data was stored inside here 05. Then what I have done, I have given an instruction to 8085 to move data from register B to A. How I'm going to write that instruction? This is the assembly level code. Move A comma B is assembly level language. Only we understand that. 8085 don't understand that. 8085 has a 8-bit data bus from which you can give the instruction. So you have to provide only 8-bit of information. Now how you are going to accommodate that move A comma B over here? It is not possible. So actually how it is done? I am going to give a machine code to 8085 which it understands. Okay, the machine code for this instruction is 78H. Hexadecimal number 78 is the machine code. What I am going to do, I am going to provide this 78 to 8085 like this. Okay, 0111100. I am going to give this code through my data bus and it will be directly going to instruction register. So instruction register will see this number 0111100. When it see this number, it will immediately know. So this number will actually decoded over here, and this decoder will immediately know what is has done, and it will give this to timing and control unit. Now timing and control unit know what has to be done. So once it knows the data has to be moved from B to A, it will give the command from here to register B that give the data to data bus. So register B data 05 would be transferred on this bus. So now 05 would be available over here, and then again this will give a signal to ALU like take the data from data bus. So this 05 will be coming in and stored over here. Okay. So this 05 is transferred from B to A, but do not understand like this. The 05 is still available with B. So this is the example how your 8085 transfers the data. Okay. Any questions up to this? Any questions? Okay. So I hope this is like you understand this well. This is a very basic instruction. This is the first step to study the assembly language of 8085 or programming 8085. This is very basic program line. This is data transfer operation between two registers. Okay, if I want to ask in question like exam, I'll ask this: explain instruction move rd comma rs. What this instruction will do? So you'll see two registers over here, rs being source register and rd being destination register. Now one more thing, where I can transfer the data. This is just an example of transfer from register B to A. So here your RS, register source registers can be register A, registers B, register C, D, E and F. Same way your destination registers can be A, B, C, D, E and not F, sorry, C, D, A, B, C, D, H and L. Just going alphabetically to be A, B, C, D, H and L. These are the 7 registers between which you can transfer the data. So you can see the instruction like this. It can be transferred from D to C. It is possible. You will write like this. Even transfer from A to A is possible. You can have instruction like this: move A comma A. Okay. Now you will see this. All the instructions are different. So how a machine would see this instruction as a different instruction? It almost looks same. So we know that this is the assembly code. This is how we understand the program, or we understand the instruction. How a machine understand the instruction? It is this way. It just have 8-bit number and it process this 8-bit number. So it understand 8-bit number. So we are going to provide this number, and there would be unique number for each of this combination. Like D to C would be different number and C to D would be a different number. Let's see that. And this is the table for that. So here, this you can see this line. Move A comma B is 78. Okay, so it is hexadecimal number 78. But if I want to do the opposite operation, transfer from register A to register B, in that case I would have a different instruction, that is number 47. Okay, so these are known as a hex codes, and each unique instruction, these are the unique instructions, would have its own hex code, and this hex code has to be given to 8085 to do the program. Now, this is a machine language. We are not able to understand these things, but we understand this assembly level language. So we are going to programming with this. One more thing, you are not expected to remember this. Do not mug up these things. Okay, this data, if required, would be available from my side. If I want to ask something related to this number, I'll ask this number along with the question. Okay, like I'll put that number over there. So do not mug up this number. What do you want to like mug up, or what do you want to remember is this instruction, and what does that mean, and how that instruction will execute, what would be the result once the execution is completed. Okay, so any questions up to this point? My next question to Yagnesh. Yagnesh, please answer me this. I have written an instruction. Move C, D. The data of C, previous data of register C was 01H and D was 08H. What would be the data after the execution? Okay, this is the instruction move C, D. The previous data is this. What would be the new data? Yagnesh will answer. Yes, Yagnesh. What would be the content of C and what would be the content of register D?
01H and 08H.
After the execution, I'll have 01 and 08. Okay. Next to roll number 13, Kanchan.
Yes, sir.
What would be the data? Like, is it a correct answer that Yagnesh has given? This is the instruction. This is the previous data. What would be the data after execution in register C and register D? That's the question.
Sir, I'm sorry, you're not audible correctly.
Okay. Nishita, can you answer this question? Nishita.
So 10108.
0108. Okay. Parash, can you answer this question?
Yes, sir.
What would be the answer?
Sir.
Is it correct answer, like whatever is showed by Yagnesh? Is it correct? Is it correct answer?
Yeah, 0108.
Okay. Manish. Manish?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it correct answer? Rule number 31, Yash.
Yes, sir.
Is this a correct answer or wrong answer?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Correct answer, sir.
Correct answer. Okay. Uh, this is actually wrong answer. What would happen? Again, I am explaining this to you. Whenever I execute a move instruction, at that time, data will move from one register to another register. Okay. So again, I am explaining this. Whenever I this move instruction, at that time, data would be copied from one register to other register. Now, which are the two registers? The first register would be source register from which data would be taken or data would be copied, and the other one would be the destination register where I will be going to paste a data. Okay. So here, now how it is written? Always the register destination register is written first and source is written later on. So if you compare it with this instruction, my D is source register, so the copy would be taken from register D and pasted to register C. So actual data transfer will happen like this. So the data of D would be copied to C. So data word of D was 08. So this 08 is taken from here and copied to register C. So the register C content would be overwrite. Like it would be instead of 01, now it would become 08H. Data would be overwritten. The data was there already, but it would be removed and it would be replaced by this data. And the source register data would remain as it is if it is a move instruction. Okay. So this is the correct answer. Now instead of this, if I have a instruction move D comma C, and if the same data was given 01 in register C and 08 in register D, what would be answer? Go ahead, Yagnesh. What would be the answer if I have this instruction now? Yagnesh.
01 and 01.
01 and 01 would be the answer. Okay. So this is how a move instruction works. Data would be copied from source register and pasted to destination register. Keep in mind the destination would always be written first. Like પહેલો જે રજિસ્ટર લખ્યો છે ત્યાં ડેટા આવીને કોપી થાય છે કે બીજો રજિસ્ટર લખ્યો છે એમાંથી, એટલે બીજો જ અમારો જે રજિસ્ટર લખ્યો છે પાછળ, that is the સોર્સ. ત્યાંથી ડેટા આવશે અને પહેલામાં કોપી થઈ જશે, એટલે પાછળવાળા રજિસ્ટરનો જે કન્ટેન્ટ હોય ને એ બંનેમાં થઈ જાય. તો અહીંયા ડીમાં હતું 08 તો બંનેમાં 08 થઈ ગયું, અહીંયા હતું સીમાં 01 તો બંનેમાં 01 થઈ ગયું. ઓકે. So this is a data transfer operation. This operation is not at all related with arithmetic or logical type of operation. This is just a data transfer operation where I am transferring my one data to the other register. Very simple, very easy. If you have any question, you can ask. Now actually, now see, there are three things. The first is the data. Data, which is data here? This is the data. 01 and 08 is the data. What is the instruction? Instruction is this. This is known as assembly level instruction. Okay, that we understand. But actually, what we are going to write to execute this instruction? To execute this instruction, I am going to write a hex code. A hex code. Where I'll get that hex code? I'll get it from this table. This is a table. So move C comma D. If I want to write that, I have to write this number 4A. So if I write 4A here, okay, automatically this task will done. જો હું 8085 ને 4A લખીને આપું તો ઓટોમેટિકલી it will perform this operation. મારે આવું કરવું છે, આવું લાઈક સી માંથી કોપી કરવો છે ડેટા ને ડી માં મૂકવો છે. ઇન ધેટ કેસ મારો નંબર ચેન્જ થઈ જાય. what would be that number? That would be 51. Okay, if I write 51, in that case this thing will happen. C no data બંને રજિસ્ટરમાં કોપી થશે. ઓકે, સો ધીસ ઇઝ હાઉ ઇટ વર્ક્સ. અને આ જે લખ્યું છે આને મશીન લેવલ કોડ કહેવાય અને આપણા લેંગ્વેજમાં આપણે એને હેક્સ કોડ કહીશું. Now if you look at this numbers or this number or this number, this all are the numbers. Okay, અહીંયા ડેટા કેમ છે? કારણ કે એ રજિસ્ટર સી ની અંદર સ્ટોર છે. આ હેક્સ કોડ કેમ છે? બીકોઝ આઈ એમ ગોઈંગ ટુ પ્રોવાઈડ ધીસ ટુ ઇન્સ્ટ્રક્શન ડીકોડર રજિસ્ટર. પણ ઇન્સ્ટ્રક્શન ડીકોડરની જગ્યાએ જો આ ડેટાની અંદર હોત તો then it is my data now. So if I give a some number inside instruction decoder, it will become my instruction. અને એ જ નંબરને જો હું રજિસ્ટરમાં સ્ટોર કરી દઉં તો એ મારો ડેટા બની જાય. અને એ જ નંબર જો એડ્રેસ બસ ઉપર જતો રહે તો એડ્રેસ બની જાય. ઓકે, સો ધીસ આર ઓલ જસ્ટ ધ નંબર્સ. નંબર ક્યાં છે ડિપેન્ડિંગ ઓન ધેટ will decide whether it is an address, it is a data or it is a instruction. બાકી otherwise you will see all these things as some 0 1s combination. એટલા માટે આપણે કહીએ છીએ it is a machine language. તો 0 1 નું જે combination છે that is a machine language and at 8085 understand that machine language only. Okay, if you have any question you can ask or we'll stop here for today's lecture. If you don't have any question, you can leave this class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.